So separation exists in an imagined land of you, and it becomes an energetic expression that kind of follows the body around most of the time, like a shadow. Right here, right now, what can you say you are? Who can you say you are? So I just have to show you her little face. So we're getting to a serious subject. Hello? Hello? Would you like in, Khaleesi? Where did you go? She's gone to the other door now. She's going to bark at the other door. She's so cute. You want in or out? You want in or out? You have to choose. I'm not going to keep getting up. Eh? You want in or out? You want in or out? You want in or out? In or out? Did you enjoy that? What a lucky girl you are. What a lucky girl you are. You go boo, 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 boo. So right here, right now, who and what are you? You always live in the imagination of who and what you are. You believe you're a name, you believe you're an age, you believe you arrived into this room and you sat down. But all of this is belief systems. It's not actually true. It's not reality. Reality is. And reality is no thing looking itself as everything. If you want to call it consciousness, or if you want to call it beingness, aliveness, call it whatever you like, I don't care. Whatever resonates. But no, if we use the word consciousness or beingness, the consciousness isn't separate from the appearances. It is all appearances. And the consciousness is totally empty. It's not a thing that can be found. Often we look at personal awareness and we think that's the big consciousness. So not the movement of the lens. So you can put personal awareness on thoughts or on your chest or on your foot or on Khaleesi. There can be the movement of that. But that isn't the big consciousness we're talking about. The perception is instantaneous and ever still, if we talk about it from consciousness terms. The perception never moves and is moving all the time. It's all things. Whether movement of attention or moves in the dream, it's a thing happening in the dream and can be perceived. So if we go down the traditional Advaita, they would say there is consciousness, and then consciousness is aware of I am. And they would say that neither of those are inside of you. They are everywhere and nowhere. You believe you are consciousness, but actually there is consciousness, and the appearance of you, the character, comes and goes in that consciousness. What's always present is consciousness and I am. The I am is a sense of existence. But I don't really like splitting them up because I see them as the same. The I am is the everything side and the consciousness is the nothing side. The I am is the love side and the consciousness is the emptiness side. It's not really separate, but traditionally they separated them just to make it easier to be able to talk about, I presume. Amazing that somebody ever managed to get this into words. And all teachers tend to say, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right, and all students spend time bickering over which one is right and which one is wrong. And of course I'm right. I mean, that's the truth of it, really. I'm right when I say none of them are right. None of them are wrong. But there's just humanness. The way we speak as humans is we always have to compare it to something else. So we in a way always sound like our way is better or our way is the right way. Ignorance is when you believe that to be true, but when you speak about something you have to imply the others are wrong and that's right. So by me saying all other teachers, some say it's right, their way is right and this way is right and that way is right, whereas I say it doesn't really matter, whatever resonates. There is no truth to this, but I sound like I'm saying I'm right, because that's the nature of our language and that's the nature of being human. But that's changing and evolving, and it doesn't have to define being human. And it's not true. That's the beauty in seeing this and waking up, just seeing how untrue our thoughts are, what we think, the way we communicate is, and how far away from reality it is. Reality is so free and boundless, and it doesn't suffer at all. There is no one here that can suffer. It's only the person that can suffer because it believes it's real and it believes pain is happening to it. So animals, the rest of life doesn't suffer. It's only the human does because it assumes it's alive and that life is happening to it and that it exists in time and it lives this lie. Animals experience pain. I'm not saying go and beat up a dog because they don't experience pain. They experience pain, but they don't suffer. They don't suffer that pain, which is a big difference. Because to Khaleesi, there's nobody there having pain. There is only this wide, vast space, this infinite space that's free, that cannot hold on to anything. Even though pain, sustained pain can appear, sustained fear can appear, sustained joy can appear, it doesn't belong to her. So basically, in my definition of the end of suffering is it coming back to what is. At the moment, the way it's being experienced in most human bodies is they believe they're a moving person that's walking through a separate world. And if you come back to what is, then who you truly are is this stillness appearing as movement, and in that appears and disappears a person. The suffering is the belief that you are that person. And there's attachment to all the ideas, the belief systems, the feelings, the emotions, and the experiences of that person. And when you feel limited, when you feel like you are that separate person, and you're living a lie, you always feel like there's something wrong. So you go on this journey to end that and to feel like you got to the right place. But you can never find that. You can never get to that. So the search gets more and more intense and more uncomfortable because you get more and more disappointed by life. You can't get there. You can't find it. Whereas really, the whole time, your essence was it. And your essence was there in every experience that happened. Sorry, I'm just putting my feet up. Oh, that's nice. To keep moving the camera down as I slide down the seat. And this isn't about what I say. Don't hold on too much about what I say. Just let it kind of, the energy in which it's being spoken from, penetrate. That's what's the most important part, is that this talk isn't trying to get anywhere. It's just a happening. And I think that what often happens when somebody's speaking from that place is that the others begin to sense that and pick up on that. And so there begins to be a stillness that takes over. And that's who you are. It could also have the other effect and bring up immense discomfort as well. Who knows? But I think often the reason people are repetitively watching because they do feel that. So just forget about yourself and what you want, where you think you're going, your life, just for the next 2 hours, and just fall into the no place, no time. And as you fall into it, you begins to be seen. There was no one falling into it. Who you believed yourself to be never existed. And it's not about the way the vessel behaves or the way, when I say vessel I mean the body-mind, that we can get so caught up on the way it should be, on what it says. I'm sure I contradict myself loads. That's part of speaking about an impossible subject. And part of what happens in this form now, I can't remember so much. And don't get caught up on whether you're too much on what you feel for the form that's speaking it. Just more let this talk remind you of the silence that you are. We come from a culture that's very much into worshipping idols. And in non-duality, there's no exception. And I'm not saying that's wrong, that's just what appears. But just remember, the true freedom is your essence. Not any form, not any behavior. Not any way of being. On the human level, really hearing non-duality makes the human become really itself. It stops trying to pretend to be someone in order to get love in time, and it just is itself in that moment, as it is, rather than this character that's been created in order to get love from people. Maybe a very nice character, or maybe an angry character, because that got it love. Maybe a very intelligent character. Whatever it is, it was created in order to get love from the parents and from society. That stops playing out, and then you just become your true colours, like what you were when you were already a young kid. The true colours of the human. And the human, as the human form, isn't the one that gets enlightened, although normally waking up has strong effects on the body-mind mechanism. Like I changed a lot, but it's not really about the characteristics. That's why you get all these different colours of teachers, and the teachers always say, yes, no, this is the way it is, you end up looking like this, but really there's infinite possibilities always. What I'm trying to pass on is that there is no dogma in non-duality. Even though dogma can seem to appear in it, ultimately there is no dogma in it. We as humans like to make bold statements, me included. Like everything is beingness, that could become a dogma, but ultimately it's moving away from the belief systems and seeing the freedom that's there all the time. This boundless energy that's experiencing itself. There is a stillness experiencing itself. It's not the human that's perceiving this life. The human is an experience playing out in life. Your suffering comes from this energy that makes you believe you walked into this room, you turned on the computer, and you sat down and you chose to listen to my talk. That's only what seems to happen. In actuality, the reality is right now there is talk happening, and really everything ultimately is a mystery happening for no one. You don't know you came here, you don't know you're leaving, you don't know you're alive, right here, right now, you don't know any of that. But this projection of the mind is constantly repeating who you are, where you've come from, where you're going, because it's afraid not to exist. But really, right here, right now, there is nobody that exists. There is this emptiness appearing as form, looking at itself innocently, without judgment. Judgment appears in the person, and that comes and goes. It's funny perception, isn't it? That must look very funny that you can see my cup like that. You see, I get very distorted. I'm sure it must be weird seeing me in human form, because you can see just by the movement of the cup the distortion of the view. In reality, I actually weigh 100 kilos. I'm 6'4", but that's the only English way of measuring. I don't know that in meters. I said it in England, we don't measure in kilos, we measure in stone. I know it's really backwards. We still measure in stones. People are like, what? A stone that you pick up from the garden? The rest of the world doesn't. So in England, I weigh about 8 or 9 stone, like 8.5, 9 stone. And in kilos, I don't know, that's like 50 to 60 kilos, somewhere between that, I don't really know. So I said it in kilos because I know the rest of the world's in kilos. Yeah, but really, on the TV, I look like 8, 9 stone, I'm 50, 60 kilos. But in reality, I'm 100 kilos. And incredibly tall, with very big hands. The big hands, I think sometimes you can perceive, like that I've got very big hands. They're bigger than my head in reality. Gigantic hands. I think sometimes you get a sense of that. I can't quite hide it through the camera. Yakka-poo-poo-poo-poo-poo. Hello, Khaleesi. Hello. Your friend's barking down there. Who's down there? Huh? Who's down there? What's going on downstairs? Huh? Okay, so we have a lot of questions tonight, so we shall take some questions.